Welcome to Weekly Sports Talk with Ed, episode 14. Today we got a lot to cover. Jay Uso is the new Intercontinental Champion. I'll be doing some NHL stuff the next few weeks as the season starts on October 8th. So be prepared to start seeing some NHL stuff on the podcast. I'm gonna be going through NBA award predictions. Uh, got a few predictions to do because WWE Bad Blood is coming up next week. And that's how we'll get started. We'll get started with I've got a lot more, but I'll get started with the W. I'll get started with the bad blood predictions for WWE. We got Leah Morgan defending the Women's World Championship against Rhea Ripley, and Dominic is going to be hanging from a shark cage. I think this would be a fun match. I got Rhea Ripley winning and getting her title back. Now, who she feuds with after she gets it back, I'm not really sure. The same can be said for Liv if she was to retain, or they could stretch it out even this story even further. But I predicting Rhea Ripley to get the win. Drew McIntyre and CM Punk are having a Hell in a Cell match. Now this should be the main event, but they're WWE is discussing either that or Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns versus the Bloodline being the main event because it is in Cody's hometown of Atlanta, Georgia. We're back to Drew and Punk for a second. I got Drew winning this match. They're tied one match apiece. They both have one win against each other. This is gonna be the end of that rivalry for now, but I see Drew getting the win. Punk that I mean, neither guy's going uh this whoever loses it won't hurt them because it's gonna be a really fun match. The last two matches have been good. The second match better than the first, and I bet the third match will be better than the second one. So I'm expecting this to be a great match, and I hope it does main event the show. Finn Balor and Damian Priest is it makes sense storyline wise. You got the whole Judgment Day stuff. I have Finn Balor winning because I think Judgment Day is gonna get involved and they're gonna be the reason that Damian Priest loses this match. But this won't be their only match. They're definitely gonna have a few more matches. Because and Balor he needs to win more than Damian Priest. Priest just came off a decent World Heavyweight Championship run. He's fans still love him. So I think it'll be a good match. You will get the heel heat on Finn and Judgment Day, especially when they come out there and help him. But yeah, I got Finn winning that match. Uh, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns are teaming up to take on Solo, Sokoa, and Jacob Fatu out of Bloodline. See Roman and Cody win this match. You know, Roman just had the most dominant world championship reign of the modern era, and Cody Rhodes is your current world champion. So it's no way that they lose this match, no matter how dominant they make the Bloodline out to be. They've been very dominant on SmackDown and they've done a great job. But it's no way they beat Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, especially and the WWE champion, former champion. Neither one of these guys is going to take a pin after the historic run Roman just went on and what Cody is doing now. It's no way that these two lose, even though they both don't want to team up, but they realize they have to do it to take out the bloodline. And that's leading to an interesting story. Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. That's leading to an interesting story because Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, they don't like that. So on SmackDown, you're starting to see seeds of well, soon Randy Orton and Kevin Owens are gonna turn on Cody Rhodes, and it's not gonna look good. But him taking over Roman, that's already a bad look when Roman has been giving them he's been giving them problems this since 2020, basically this whole decade. So we'll have to team up with him. Then the last match, Nia Jax is defending the women's championship against Bayley. I think Nia Jax retains, but I do think Tiffany Stratton is going to cash in during this match or after the match. However, I think Tiffany Stratton is walking out of fear out of bad blood as the women's champion on SmackDown. Because no matter if she cashed in the match or after the match, I think she is going to pin Nia Jax, especially the way Nia's been treating her over the last few weeks on this past SmackDown. She started choking her because they lost the tag team match. Then that's just building up for Tiffany Stratton to turn on Nia Jax and get that women's championship. So if they have Tiffany cash in like they did myself did a Mania make the triple threat. I see her winning. Or if they have Nia Jax pin Bailey again, just have Tiffany Stratton cash in after the match and win. Either way, I think Tiffany's walking out as a champion. I wish it, I wish this match would have been a triple threat with Naomi included, because Naomi and Bailey they put on a really good match for the number one contenders match to see who will face Nia. But I feel like with both of them pinning Nia Jax in the previous SmackDown, you could have just made it a triple threat match. But Bailey got the win. It might be a solid match. Wasn't a fan of the match they had last time. It wasn't bad. But it was solid. And then that's it for Bad Blood Predictions. Like I said at the start of the show, Jay Uso, he won the Intercontinental Championship on Monday Night Raw from Braun Breaker in the main event, which was a really good main event, a really great match. Jay's Braun Breaker, he taking his loss didn't hurt him at all. He still looked like a dominant force. Jay Uso, he's finally getting the push that he deserves. He's over with the crowds. He's selling merch. He's one of the most popular stars right now. You had to put a title on him, even if it was at the cost of Braun Breaker. How long he keeps it, I don't know, but it definitely adds fuel to the fire for Braun Breaker that he's going because he's not done with the Intercontinental title. I think he'll be back there sooner rather than later. But you, yeah, and there was some other stuff that happened on Raw and SmackDown. But those the biggest stories to come out of it. Is Jay finally becoming a singles champion. Much deserved. Congratulations to him. And it didn't make sense for any other guy to really beat Braun Breaker for that title, especially at this time. It was very shocking. I didn't expect it to happen. I don't think most people did, but when it did, I was very excited and I enjoyed every moment of it. Moving on to AEW Grand Slam, which took place. They did two editions of it. They did one on Dynamite on Wednesday, and they did one tonight as I'm recording this for Collision. I didn't watch Collision. I usually don't. It's just hard to have a wrestling show on a Saturday night, especially one that's consistently on a Saturday night. But AEW Grand Slam happened. Brown Danielson defeated Nigel McGuinness in a very technically sound wrestling match. It was a lot of submission holds. Uh, it was a really good match. It was a great way to start off the show. I enjoyed it. Brian Danielson, he won. And Nigel McGuinness, he tapped out and said thank you. As I guess this is his last match. It had been 13 years since he was in the ring. And his biggest rival from Ring of Honor. And these two helped propel Ring of Honor to what it ended up being. Danielson and Nigel, they had their final match. It was a great send off. Nigel McGuinness was really good for him. He's had two matches in since the last time he wrestled with the Battle Royal he was in this match here. And it's been 13 years since he last wrestled. So yes, he'll be back doing commentary now, but it was a fun match. Hook defended the FTW championship against Roger Strong. Once again, a Dynamite Grand Slam was a really good show from start to finish. This match was good too. I seen uh, it felt short for what it was. Um, I mean, AEW did go overtime, but I feel like it could have been longer. But the match was good regardless. But I would have loved to see Hook and Ryder Strong go at it for a little bit longer. Matt Taven, Michael Bennett, they got involved a little bit because FTW rules, no disqualifications. But Hook ended up retaining the title, and surprisingly, Roger Strong, Mike Bennett, they shook Hook's hand after the match. And after they exited the ring, Hook retired the LTW championship and gave it to Taz, which is great for AEW. You have so many championships, it's good that you got rid of the LTW championship, retired it, and had Hook be the last champion and give it back to his father Taz. And now Hook, he can move on to a bigger title picture, like the TNT title or something like that. So I'm happy for Hook. It's progressive for him. And the match him and Roderick Strong had, it was really good. Now, what was the best match of Dynamite? And probably the best match of this week was the Young Bucks defending the tag titles against uh, Will Ospreay and Cal Fletcher. This, I, the Young Bucks retained, and I thought Ospreay and Fletcher were going to win. They did a really good job. Like, it was a lot of near falls. I feel like they kind of overdid it with the finishers because but it's the Young Bucks, Will Ospreay in the same match, so that's not surprising. It was a really good match. It just feels like some of the finishers were overdone and didn't need to be to that extent. But I watched this match twice already in 1 week. It was really fun. At towards the end, Don Callis, he got involved. He gave Fletcher a screwdriver. He was about to use it. Ospreay stopped him. This is the most important part of the match because they, this when things turned. Because then the Young Bucks, they end up using the tag titles because the ref was distracted by Don Callis because Fletcher is supposed to hit one of the Bucks with a screwdriver, but Osprey stops him. Then, not immediately after, but that ends up costing them the match, and the Young Bucks retain. Like I said, a good match. Got the obvious Don Callis interference for during the Cal Fletcher match, of course. And it was really fun from start to finish. Like I said, I've watched it twice in 1 week already. And I'll probably watch this match again. Because that was the best match from Dynamite. That might be the best match of this month. Next, you had Prince Nada had a segment. He was talking about Forrest Strickland, talking about how he's doing. And for what I know, he's perfectly fine. I just seen a video. I didn't watch it, but I seen a thumbnail of him doing an interview with somebody. So he's probably just taking some time off. That it's well deserved. He had a great reign as the AEW champion. And then you MVP makes his debut, and he's trying to recruit Forrest Strickland. He was like, if Forrest Strickland was for me, the guy that burned down his childhood house wouldn't be walking around still or something like that. So then you get that mini segment with MVP and Prince Nada. It was a cool segment. I wasn't expecting MVP, and I definitely wasn't expecting him to come without Lashley and Benjamin bringing the Hurt Business to AEW. But this is gonna be an interesting angle. The Swerve comes back and he's like he's supposed to stay with Prince Nana. Then that's when you bring in Lashley, or I don't know, because I don't know if Lashley or Shelton Benjamin are signed to anybody. But with MVP being there, I'm assuming that they probably are going to sign to AEW. Mariah May had she defended her title. I really forgot against who. This match wasn't even bad. It was just like a forgettable match because it's like Mariah May gets to pick who she defends her title against, and there was no story involved in this match. All the other matches had at least some type of story, but this one it had no story at all. It was just a Mariah May title defense, which is fine. It's fine defending your title on Dynamite every once in a while, but it didn't do anything until the end of the match when after Mariah May retained, she was going to try to attack Yuta, but then Willow Nightingale came out there and she had stopped her, but well, she pre- stopped her for a second until Mina Sakuraki came out there and they distracted Willow Nightingale, allowing Mariah May to hit her. Then Mariah May and Amina they hugged at the top of the ramp. And Amina's confused because she didn't know that was going to happen. And then Yuta, she's still trying to go after Mariah May. So the, the match doesn't progress into the end of it, which is really weird. Well, actually, after the match. But yeah. And then the main event, you get John Moxley versus Darby Allin. And it's for Darby Allin's shot at the world title at Wrestle Dream. Really good match. A great main event. Both of these guys are amazing. Moxley gets the win. I forgot who I predicted. I think I wanted Darby to win. I think that's what I said last week. I predicted him just because I wanted him to win. But it makes sense for Moxley to win because they're building a story with the Blackpool Combat Club, which after the match, you had uh, they they attacked Darby, or they were yeah, Moxley he attacked Darby. You had Claudio and well, I forgot in what order it happened, but then Private Party came out there, Claudio, Pac, they came out there. Danielson, he eventually made the save, and then Moxley, Claudio, Pac, and the woman they be with, I'll be forgetting her name. She looks real strong. And she even interfered in the match and kicked Darby a few times. And then they got that uh they were in the crowd, and Danielson was like, he he wants to hurt Moxley, so they're gonna have their match Wrestle Dream, which is a week after Bad Blood, if I'm not mistaken. That's October 12th, I think, and Bad Blood is October 7th. So yeah. And I heard that AEW could, yeah, like I said, a Grand Slam, good show, start to finish. And I've been hearing rumors about AEW and their next TV network because their deal with TBS or TNT might be up soon. So they're looking at places like Fox, Ion, ABC, and there was a few other promotions. But I think if they do either Fox or ABC, that's going to be best because those are both local channels. You're going to have a lot of you'll be able to get a lot more eyes on your product if you go to an ABC or a Fox. Because you go to Ion, not everybody has cable. Same problem with being with TNT and TBS. And then you get some deals like that, and even potentially them going to HBO Max for their pay-per-views, you just have to pay. I don't know how much HBO Max is, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty cheap because their pay-per-views are running you $54. So it's like if they move to a network or a streaming service like HBO Max, you would just have to pay for their service and you can get the pay-per-views every month. So it's kind of like what WWE did when they moved to Peacock or to the network, making it much cheaper. And that's it for AEW. The WNBA playoffs went underway this past week. I gave my predictions last week. This week I'm be doing my recap of the first round. The New York Liberty swept the Atlanta Dream. The first game, it was a blowout. Well, wasn't necessarily a blowout because I think it was only a 14-point game, but the Liberty pulled away early and easy. Uh, the second game, it was a little closer, but Liberty still were able to pull away. Then Sabrina Nescu, Brianna Stewart, they took turns dominating. They both had one game where it was just like, it's my turn. And that's pretty much it. It was the 1 versus 8 matchup. I expected it to be a sweep. It's not much that Atlanta could have did. They're just not as experienced as New York is, and New York is clearly a more talented team. So this should have been a sweep. Atlanta has nothing to be disappointed about. They had a really good season. They can build off of this and potentially be better next year. And with Liberty, they look good. They did what they should as the first seed. They took care of business. The Aces swept the Las Vegas Aces swept the Seattle Storm. Yeah, very. I was surprised because I had the Aces winning, but I thought this would go 3 games. I thought this would come down to a game 3. Adrian Wilson and Kelsey Plum, they were both great in both the games that they played. And Adrian Wilson, she's the MVP. Congratulations to her. Uh, I have to run through the awards real quick. Adrian Wilson won MVP, well deserved. Knew she was gonna get it. Have an amazing season. Uh, Dajane Carrington, who I'm gonna get to, and uh, later, won Most Improved Player. She's a really good defender, really good. She's just a really solid player, kind of like a Drew Holiday. She just does it all. Nafisa Collier won Defensive Player of the Year, one of the best defenders in the league, and Caitlin Clarker won Rookie of the Year. Those are the awards I can think of off the top of my head. I think that's it. But congratulations to all 4 of them, all very deserving of it. And back to the playoff recap and the Storm series. Jill Lloyd and Skylar Diggins Smith, they both struggled. I, I, they played really bad in the playoffs, and I expect them to play much better than that. So for this series to be close, Skylar Diggins Smith and Jaleel Lloyd, it starts with them for the Storm. If they aren't good, this team isn't going to do anything, and that's why. And the Aces were able to pick that apart and win. In the first game, the Aces outscored them 14-2 in the fourth quarter. Even though 14 isn't a lot, to score just 2 points in 1 quarter, that's 10 minutes of action. That was embarrassing for the Storm. And in the second and the fourth quarter in game 2, they looked much better. But the Aces had already started to pull away because of Ada Wilson, because of Kelsey Plum. And it just seemed like they were outmatched. And oh no, I don't, I don't think it's a talent thing. I just think the Aces are more prepared for the playoffs because they had the most playoff experience coming into this. And Ada Wilson is the best player in the league. But I thought this would have been a 3 game series. The Minnesota Lynx sweep the Phoenix Mercury. Nafisa Collier, who just won Defensive Player of the Year, she put up 80 points in the span of 2 games. She had 38 the first game, and then she somehow topped it with 42 in the second game. So they're talking about one of the best defenders in the league, well, the best defender this season. And then she's also giving you buckets. So a really good defensive series. And then she's giving you 80 points in 2 nights. Phoenix couldn't just they couldn't control they couldn't contain her at all. She was doing anything she wanted to. Then Brittany Griner and Diana Taurasi, they both had one good game and it was both on different nights. But they had good games on the same night. This series also could have went to 3. But I expected Minnesota to sweep because outside of Taurasi and Brittany Griner, I don't see much for this Phoenix team, especially the way they ended the season. Like they had out of these 8 teams that were in the playoffs, they had the worst an end in the last 10 games of the season. They were 3-7 in their last 10 games. And Brittany Griner, she's like I said, Griner and Rossi, they didn't struggle the entire series, but out of 2 games, she just had one good game and they came on different nights. It's just hard to win like that when your two best players can't give you consistency the entire series. Then the last series, and yes, all the series were sweeps, but it was fun to watch. Pe- I watched a lot of WNBA this season. I, this season I dove most into it, and it's fun to watch. People are still hating on it just because it's women playing basketball, but it's really fun to watch. It's really entertaining, despite all these being sweeps. I enjoyed it. And then the Connecticut Sun swept the Indiana Fever. Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston for Indiana. They were both solid the entire series. They were pretty consistent. Caitlin Clark, Caitlin Clark struggled in the first game where she shot 4 of 17 and looked really bad. And the Fever couldn't do nothing because she wasn't doing nothing, and they lost there by 24. But then in that second game, it came down to the wire. It was really close. Caitlin Clark had an amazing game, but she just made some bad decisions down the end. Indiana, they made a few bad decisions down the end. Like Caitlin Clark, she's a really good shooter, but I don't like her shot selection down when it comes to late games. And it's not necessarily her shooting a three, it's just how deep the three is. She needs to be closer to that line or getting inside of it for some mid range shots because she can make those tough shots. And I feel like if she goes to the paint or she just takes steps in a few feet instead of as far as she is behind the 3 point line, that they probably could have pushed this for three. But for a six seed, a team with barely any playoff experience, even though the first game was bad, the first round is best three out is a best of three series. So they did what they could, especially in the second game. But shout out to Indiana. They had a really good season. And better luck next year. For the Sun, Marina Mabry, uh Dejanay Carrington, uh, Thomas, and the DeWanna Bonner, they were all good. You got a big four over there, basically. As I said, Dejanay Carrington, she won most improved player. She and like I well, it's only been one round, but I expected her to step up and have an impact, and she was doing that. DeWanna Bonner, she was doing when she was guarding Caitlin Clark, she couldn't make a shot. If it was when she was guarded by anybody else, it was easy for Clark to get some shots up. But when it came to DeWanna Bonner, she wasn't able to make those same shots. Yeah, that's it for the WNBA first round recap. The second round, it starts tomorrow. Uh, the Liberty are facing the Aces, and the Lynx are facing the Sun. Out of those four teams, the Sun are the only one I have no confidence in. The other three, it's like that Liberty Aces series is going to be tough. I got the Aces in 5 games. Then the Lynx and Sun, I got the Lynx in 4 games. But whoever, I feel like, but those are going to be some good series. Staying with basketball, my NBA award predictions. Now I'm gonna do each individual award, and I'm gonna do the all NBA teams. And yes, so for MVP, I got Shea. I got Shea Gilgeous-Alexander from OKC winning MVP this year. I think he's gonna have a really good season. OKC was the 1 seed last year. I think he'll lead them back there. The team has gotten better, and there's still other guys that are gonna be in the race. You, but yeah, I got Shea winning MVP. You still have other guys like Embiid, maybe a Tatum, Anthony Edwards, all those guys could potentially be MVP candidates. Defensive player of the year, got Wemby winning it. That's only his second year, but he's one of the best defenders in the league already, and I think he's gonna get it this year. Rookie of the year, got Leo Ware from the Miami Heat. I think he's gonna have a really good season. I think he'll start on the bench, but the Heat will definitely run some lineups with him and Bam. And I think it's gonna look great, especially defensively. I feel like he's gonna be a really good defender, and I think the offense will be fine. He's getting to learn behind Bam. Well, for most improved player, I got Jalen Johnson winning it for the Atlanta Hawks. He probably would have got there last year if he played more games, but I think with DeJounte gone, he could take an even bigger step up and win it this year. So this one I'm going with Jalen Johnson. Sixth man of the year. Obviously, Nas Reed won it last year. I thought Malik Monk should have won it last year. So this year, I'm going with Malik Monk to win it for the Sacramento Kings. Uh, his role hasn't changed even with DeMar being added to the team. So Malik Monk, he'll come off the bench doing the same stuff. And he missed 10 games last year. He played over 70, I think. So it's not even about him. Really, if he can play a few more games, I don't really know what it is because Malik Monk had one of the best seasons ever off the bench, and Nas Reed ended up getting it. But I'm going Malik Monk for this year. Coach of the year, I would still go with Chris Finch, even though with the Wolves and Knicks trade, I still think the Timberwolves are a top three seed in the West. I think they'll be the two seed, and Chris Finch to get the recognition he deserves. He'll win Coach of the Year. For Clutch Player of the Year, I'm going with Trey Young. I think the Hawks will be a ninth seed, but we've seen lower seeded guys get that Clutch Player of the Year, but it's nobody in his way, and I think he's just gonna have a really good year. So yeah, I'm going with Trey Young for Clutch Player of the Year. And to get to the okay, get to the All NBA teams. Just gotta check this right quick. Okay, I made a mistake with the All NBA teams, but that's fine. Okay, realized I ain't have Giannis on one of my All NBA teams, so I had to change that. And there still might be some people that I left off, but it's gonna be a great year for the NBA. For the All NBA first team, obviously Shea is gonna be on there. If I haven't won an MVP, he has to be on there. Like I mentioned earlier, Anthony Edwards feels like he can still take another step. Got him making first team. Jason Tatum, the Celtics are still gonna be one or two seed in the Eastern Conference, and it's gonna be because of him. Tatum gets a lot of hate for how he played, but it's like Jason Tatum is a really good player. He's a great two-way player. He's a good scorer. He can do it all. He just struggled in the finals. Then there was a few times in the playoffs where it's like Jaylen Brown, he's played better, but that doesn't mean that he's better overall. Jason Tatum is still the Celtics' best player. I also have Giannis making it, even though I don't think the Bucks are as good as people think they'll be. I think Giannis is still dominant, and the Bucks, well, for where I have them, it won't be because of Giannis, but because of the pieces around him. But the NBA recognized he's still one of the best players in the league. Then Joel Embiid, also on first team. Still need, as long as he stays healthy, we know Embiid is one of the most dominant big men in the league. For the second team, I got LeBron making it. He's averaged 25 plus points every year except for his rookie year. And I think that continues. I don't think the Lakers are going to be good at all, but LeBron is still going to be getting his numbers, and I think he makes another All NBA team. This may come as a surprise to some people, but I have Paolo Banchero making it because I think he's going to take a jump. I think the Magic can move up to they were the five seed last year. I think they'll be the fourth seed this year with the addition of KCP. Paolo, he's one of the best defenders in the league. He's the fact that he gets no attention, no media attention, basically for a number one pick going into his third year. He's already been an all star. He's going to make another all star team, and he has the potential to make all defense. I don't know if I have. Yeah, he has the potential to do it. So I think he takes another jump and can get lead the Magic to a better year than last year. He's definitely on second team. Then I have with Steph, Brunson, and Luca. Don't think much needs with Steph. I don't think the Warriors will be good, so it's kind of like he's in that same boat as LeBron. If neither one of these teams are good, but Steph Curry is still one of the best players in the league. He's still a top 10 player in the league, and he's still going to be on an All NBA team. He's going to have a phenomenal season. Brunson and Luca, don't think much more needs to be explained. It's just the fact that these two guys played together, and now Brunson is in New York doing his own thing, one of the best guards in the league. He's a top five point guard. He's a top five point guard in the league now, and that's you probably would have said that a few years ago, looking at because I saw him and Luke as a good fit, but obviously they were able to move on for Brunson and get Kyrie, who who isn't going to take what the Mavs did. They ended up getting to the finals off of that. And the Knicks did a great job building around Brunson. So Brunson and Luka, they just both had amazing careers, and it's great to and they're able to both make the. And I think they'll both be on all NBA teams, whether it's second, first, third. I think they'll both be there. For the third team, where I have Jokic, I think the Nuggets are going to regress this year, and I think, especially with the lack of depth that they have, but Jokic, it's just hard because his position was now. It's and you never know what can happen with these NBA teams. I also got De'Aaron Fox because I think the Kings are going to be good this year. I feel like De'Aaron Fox, he's going to be on it. I got Kim Durant making the third team. Can't leave Kevin Durant off the All NBA team. Tyrese Halliburton and Donovan Mitchell. Like I said, this is very tough because I know there's some guys left off, like Dame, like Kawhi. Like, there's a lot of good players in the NBA, so it's like three teams to try to determine the best 15 players in the league. It's really hard because some of it's projecting. Like, I think the Clippers would be bad because I don't know how much Kawhi played. We don't even have an update on his injury from what it was in training camp. So that's that's not good. It's kind of scary to hear. But you get the point. For the all defensive teams, for the first team, I'm going with Wemby. Obviously, he's the defensive player of the year. He should be on first team. Rudy Gobert, he's still one of the best defenders in the league. People have a problem with his defense, but you got to understand, his job is to protect the paint. That's what he's doing. He's doing it to the best of his ability. And even when he's on the perimeter, he's not terrible. I wouldn't say he's good, but he does a pretty decent job when he's on the perimeter. OG Anunoby obviously can guard 1 through 5. He's one of the most elite defenders in the league. He'll probably never win a DPOY because of all the great defensive bigs that are in the league, but he's going to be in those conversations. Evan Mobley, I feel like he doesn't get the respect he deserves from fans, but the Cavs have had great defenses over the last few years, and it's going to continue with having him and Jared Allen. And both of those guys are capable of making all defense, but I take Evan Mobley because some of the other guys I'd rather have. I think are better defenders than Jared Allen, but they're both really good defenders, don't get me wrong. Then Anthony Davis. The Lakers, the only positive the Lakers really have is that their defense is going to be really good, anchored by Anthony Davis, having Vando. You have solid pieces to be a good defense because they've consistently been a top 10 defense, top 10, top 12 defense with Anthony Davis there. So it's like he's the anchor in the defense and he's going to do his thing. For a second team, Herb Jones, not much I need to say about him. The Pelicans, they love having Herb Jones. He's one of the best defenders in the league. He's a really good defender. Now, and what he does for the Pelicans, he can do that on all 29 other NBA teams. All 29 of the NBA teams would love to have Herb Jones. Also got Shea for the second team. I think Shea was close to making all defense last year. Uh, People don't he always, when it comes to Shea, it's free throw merchandise and this and that. Talk about his scoring. Yes, he's a really good scorer, but he's a really good defender too. He'll lock in. He's gonna get you some steals. He's gonna contest shots, and he's gonna be there the entire play. He's not giving up on plays. So, and just the effort that he gives on defense and how good he is, I'd have to put Shea on here. Like I said earlier, for Paulo, the Magic had a really good defense, and somebody from that team's gonna have to be on all defense, whether it's him or Jalen Suggs. I would go Paulo. I think he's a really good defender, and I think he's gonna improve this year. I think it's not a like a elite rim protector, but I think he can definitely improve and be a very solid rim protector this upcoming season. Then Drew Holiday, put, I had to put Drew on here. The Celtics, he's the Celtics' best defender. Drew Holiday, he's one the best perimeter defender in the league, probably definitely the best guard defender. There's probably some better wings than him defensively, but and have Drew Holiday not be on here. Then second team, this is what I'm saying. It's so hard to make predictions because I have Bam. Wasn't gonna leave Bam off, and I feel like Bam, he's very capable of winning a DPOY. But the only problem is you have these other guys like the Wimbies, like a Gobert, even like a Marcus Smart one in 1 year. Got Jaren Jackson, and it's so hard for a guy like Bam to win it, especially with him playing in Miami. And these guys, they're usually higher seeds than him. because of what they eat. They're usually the 7, 8 seed, and I don't think as long as you're an 8 seed and above, that shouldn't you should be able to win DPOY. I think that's what's holding them back. And for the all rookie teams, all of this could be completely off, but I went with for the first team. I went with Khalil Ware, Reed Shepard, Zachary Ricochet, Rob Dillingham, and Zach Edey. For the second team, I went with Dalton Connect, Donovan Clingan, Stephon Castle, Cody Williams, and Alex Sarr. I ran through that because there's not much I can say about these guys. This is all about projection. The other stuff I can confidently say I know these guys are this and that when it comes to all NBA and all defense. For the rookie teams, like I said, Khalil Ware he's going to be dominant. I think he'll be great off the bench. He can even be in 6 man of the year conversations as a rookie. I really see it. Reed Shepard in Houston is a great shooter. Houston has a lot of young talent, so I don't know how well he'll fit. Zachary Ricochet, I like the upside for his defense in Atlanta. I think it's going to provide much needed wing defense. Rob Dillingham playing with Minnesota behind Mike Conley. I think he'll have a solid year off the bench. Zach Edey playing for Memphis right next to Jaren Jackson. Who, yeah, I think they're going to be starting together. That'll definitely help his defense because that's one thing you could say about Edey in college. He was not a really good defender. Playing alone, we saw what Rudy Gobert did for Cat with them playing next to each other. You can see the same thing here with Edey playing with Jaren Jackson Jr. Then for the second team, Dalton Connect, obviously Lakers biasing that if he plays, I think he'll be good. They already talks about how he wants to emphasize young players for us this season. So if he really means that, I think Dalton Connect can have a good season. Donovan Clingan from Portland. I think he's going to take the job from Aiden probably after the first 2 weeks of the season. Because I think Aiden will be starting at first, but it's really tough because you don't know what you're getting out of Aiden. It's like since 2020, that 2021 season with the Suns, Aiden hasn't really done nothing, and he's really not impactful without the ball. Stephon Castle, I think he'll have a good year. Same with Cody Williams, not much I can say. Alex Sarr, he's real good in the summer league. And I don't look at that really. I mean, he is a 7 footer shooting bad field goal percentages, but it's like I think when the season comes, when Washington starts playing actual regular season basketball, I think he's gonna have a good year, at least good for a rookie. And that's it for my NBA awards predictions. Now we can move into some NFL stuff. So and gonna do some NCAA after that. But for the NFL, you have 5 3-0 teams. The Bills are 3-0 and they're first in the AFC East. The Chiefs are 3-0, they're first in the AFC West. The Steelers 3-0, first in the AFC North. That's probably that's one of the bigger surprises here. The Seahawks are 3-0 and they're first in the NFC West. The Vikings are 3-0 and they're first in the NFC North. That's the other big surprise. So the reason I mention that is because all these media outlets and people that keep talking about, but which on 3 team can uh, make a comeback, whatever, between the Bengals, it's the Bengals, Jaguars, and Titans. They're all 3-0. No, they're all 0-3. So they keep talking. Well, they keep talking about which team is, and it's most likely the Bengals. If any team can make a comeback out of those 3 teams, but yeah, they're all on 3, and people keep talking about them. So I'm talking about the 3-0 teams and which ones are actual contenders and which ones is just a fluke. So for the Chiefs, they're obviously a Super Bowl contender. Nothing has changed. They still have a really good roster. I mean, they're a few plays away from being 1-2 or 2-1, but they just find ways to win. And you keep doing that. You have Mahomes, you got Rasheed Rice, you got Travis Kelce, and Travis Kelce hasn't even had a good start to the season. So it's going to be a scary sight when Travis Kelce actually gets going because they're already 3-0. Now, the Bills, the obviously the least talent Josh Allen has had in his career with the Bills, but the turnovers, they're down. They're not as bad as they were. But they just dominated the Jags the other Monday Night Football. And the Bills are looking really good. They're going into a Sunday night game against the Ravens. If they can win that, they'll be 4-0. And I think the way the Bills are played, especially with the new addition of Keon Coleman, he's looked solid. James Cook, he's doing his thing at running back. I think this team is a Super Bowl contender still. I was questioning it at first before the season started because they losing Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. But these guys have just played really great team ball. Dalton Connect, uh, all these guys. They're just like Josh Allen said in his post-game interview, he likes that nobody on this team cares about getting their stats. It's just a team effort. Everybody's going to do what they can to win. I think that's really great for them to have that attitude and for Josh Allen to feel that way. So those are the Super Bowl contenders. Now the Seahawks, they haven't really played anybody too tough. They're 3-0, but they're a solid team. So I think the Seahawks, I think they'll be good enough to make the playoffs by the end of the season. Now, I didn't have them there, but looking at how the Niners are banged up, the Rams are banged up, it's going to be a few weeks before they get all their pieces together. And that's going to give the Seahawks some time to get some ground on those teams. And then they play the Lions on Monday. And the Seahawks, they seem to have the Lions number, so they might win that game. You never really know. Even if they do lose it, you still have the Cardinals you may have to worry about, but you will be able to get some ground on the Rams and 49ers in these next few weeks. As with the Rams, Puka Nakua and Cooper Cup are out, with the Niners, Kittle, well, yeah, I think Kittle was out. CMC is out. Debo is out. So these teams are banged up. This is the perfect time these next few weeks for the Seahawks to get some more ground on them by the end of the season. They could be talking about the Seahawks winning the division or the last game of the season, the last few weeks of the season come down to the division, or they could lock it up if they get enough ground. But I think they're a playoff team. I don't think they'll be contending for a Super Bowl or anything. They just don't have a team for that. Geno Smith has played good. You got Kenneth Walker. You got DK Metcalf. You got Jackson Smith, the Jigma, Tyler Lockett. You have a really good receiving core. So this team is still really good. The Vikings are probably the most surprised. It's between the Vikings and Steelers the most surprising 3-0 team. But the Vikings, I'm gonna say they're a playoff team, and not that I thought this at the beginning of the season because I didn't. Sam Darnold has looked good. Justin Jefferson is still amazing. And obviously, I didn't expect him to fall off, but he's coming off an injury, so you never know how he can start. So the fact he's had this good of a start to a season when he missed some time last year, that's been amazing. But the reason I'm saying the Vikings are a playoff team is because their defense has been elite so far. They have two guys in the top five in sacks, and I think the guy at six is also on the Vikings. So it's like this defense is really good, and if you have a good defense, they can get you a long ways. But the offense is playing well too. They just embarrassed the Texans 34-7 yeah, I think that was the final score. Like they're not just it's not like they're getting wins over weak teams. Like they beat the Texans, who people are saying are contending for a Super Bowl. And I know the Texans are banged up now, but that's still a very impressive win. And they played the Packers, who Jordan Love is coming back, and it's the end division game. So if they can win that game, they'll solidify themselves as a playoff team this year. And that's surprising because I didn't think I'd be seeing this after 3 weeks into the NFL season going on week 4. But the team I trust the least, and I don't think it, because I don't think all five teams are making the playoffs. The one team that I think misses it is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now their defense is really good. TJ Watt, he's a great player. He's consistently been in defensive player of the year conversations. He might win it this year. And the Steelers defense is not the problem. It's just the offense. I don't think is sustainable. The offense isn't putting up that many points for me to trust them as a team. And when they start playing other teams in division games and stuff like that, I don't think it's gonna work out. I mean, you got the first win over the Falcons. Who the Falcons were Falcon. That's just how it is. I forgot who they beat in week 2. That's was it just beat the Chargers and Justin Herbert, he ended up getting injured in the third quarter, or third or fourth. I think it was the third quarter. So it's like yeah, you get that win, but the other win came against the Broncos, which was a really disgusting game to watch. So your wins are against the Broncos, the Falcons, and the Chargers, who I think Those are all those opponents, except for the Broncos, are quality opponents because I think the Falcons could compete for the playoffs. The Chargers have Justin Herbert. Well, like Justin Herbert got hurt, so it's like they can't take it away. They're 3-0. Their defense is doing their job. Justin Fields is getting the job done. I will say that, but I don't know if he's locked up the job yet. You still got to see what Russell Wilson can do when he comes back. But I trust this team the least because I just don't trust the offense. George Pickens is a cool one, but I don't know how long that's gonna last. And you don't really have a reliable two. Your, your running backs, they aren't doing much. So it's like you're winning games. You aren't scoring touchdowns and you're winning games because of your defense. But the defense is going to be wore out real soon. So I don't see the Steelers finishing as a playoff team. But they could still finish with a 9-8 record. Eight, they can still finish above 500. But the AFC is so stacked they could win 10 games and not make the playoffs. That's how stacked the AFC is. But they have got out to a good start, so shout out to them. But I don't. I think they're the team I would had the least faith uh, in making a run to the playoffs. Then moving on, NCAA Heisman. Uh, this is my NCAA football Heisman ladder. You know, I think Travis Hunter is the Heisman right now. He's just the stuff that he's doing. Nobody can replicate this. He's playing both sides of the ball. He's playing almost every snap. He's offense and defense. He's one of the best. He's a lead receiver. He can catch virtually anything. And he's a really good cornerback. He's making great defensive plays. He had one of the best interceptions of the season earlier today. So it's like this guy, he has to be in the Heisman conversation. There's no, and now in Colorado, they're 4-1. It's a great start for them. They finished last season 4-8. But they're 4-1 now, and they're going to get a bowl game. There's no way they finish like they did last year. They won't lose 7 straight games. They won't be they won't be terrible. They're going to be a decent team this year. Cam Ward, Miami had who was that Miami played? Because that was a really good game. Miami had a football game of Virginia Tech. That was a really great game on a Friday night. I thought Virginia Tech almost had it. They they were so close to winning, but if they didn't go for that fake field goal, they did a field goal fake earlier in the game, and if they just kicked the field goal, they would have been in a position where all they needed was a field goal to win, and they wouldn't have to try to get a touchdown. And that 10, 12 minute review they had towards the end wouldn't have happened. So Virginia Tech sold that game, and Miami is still seven. Cam Ward, like I think Miami will win the ACC over Clemson, but it's going to be a tight battle if it comes down to them in the championship game, and it's them too, because apparently Miami and Clemson don't play each other this year, so so the ACC can get two teams in the playoffs. But back to Cam Ward, I don't know how to feel about him because I was debating on making a whole video about Cam Ward, about how good he is, and about how bad he is. Because Cam Ward is a quarterback, and if you don't basically what I'm saying is I don't know how to feel about Cam Ward because it's like he makes really good plays and he has you thinking, oh, that's signs of Lamar Jackson or uh Josh Allen. Like he makes these really great deep throws and it's like, oh, he's with like some of these top premier quarterbacks in the league now. Then he makes some really bonehead decisions and it's like it's just Bears, Justin Fields, or it's this Bryce Young. It's like Cam Ward is so consistently inconsistent. It doesn't make sense because he's putting Miami in positions to win. He's winning games, but it's just like some of the decisions he makes sometimes. It's like it's very questionable. But he's still in the Heisman race. I think the Virginia Tech game looked bad for him because he made some really bad decisions. But overall, he's had a solid season, and you can't take that away from him. Next, I have Jalen Milroe from Alabama. Jalen Milroe, he's just amazing. He's a dual threat quarterback. He does it all. He can pass, he can run, he can pass on the run. He's just really solid at everything. You don't see him taking that many sacks, so he has to be up here. And this really isn't in any order. I have Travis Hunter first, but after that, there's really no order. And then uh, Carson Beck, the quarterback from Georgia, He's obviously Georgia, they're number two right now. They're playing Alabama, and the game is close for some reason. Alabama is only up 33 to 27 as I'm recording this. This game was a blowout earlier. But yeah, Carson Beck, uh, he's having a great season so far. He's definitely up there. He's gonna be a high draft pick. All these guys I'm naming are gonna be high draft picks. The only thing is, the seven of these guys are quarterbacks. Six of these guys are quarterbacks, so they all won't go in the first round. But some of these guys get drafted in some good situations where they get to learn behind some great guys. And then I had Quinn Ewers from Texas. And speaking of Texas, Arch Manning, I'm hearing some good things. He had he had a 3 touchdown game today, so shout out to him. That's great. And then he's learning behind Quinn Ewers. You can see. So when he goes off next year in the draft, Texas still gonna be great, led by Arch Manning. Jackson Dart from Ole Miss, and man, this was before that Ole Miss game earlier against Kentucky. I want to erase him from the list because it was like that game was so bad for Jackson Dart and the whole Ole Miss team. It was like these last few weeks they've been looking good. Like, yeah, Jackson Dart, he's definitely a Heisman candidate. He's definitely in the race. And then they go out, they put up 17 points against Kentucky, and they lose at home to an unranked 2-2 team. And don't get me wrong, Kentucky is a solid team. Like they played Georgia really tough the one week they played, and they're in battles with these top ranked teams. It was like you're the sixth ranked team, you have a home game against an unranked 2-2 Kentucky team, and you're only able to put up 17 points and you lose. And Jackson Darrell was part of it. He almost fumbled at the end, but it only got called back because of a hold on the defense. But man, then the next two are kind of like those are like the main six for the as far as the Heisman race goes. So uh you have five quarterbacks in Cam Ward, Jalen Milroe, uh, Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers, and Jackson Dart. Those are the main guys. And then these two kind of like sleeper picks. Dalen Raiola from Nebraska, the quarterback, the Mahomes clone. Basically, he's had a really good year. I wish Nebraska would have won that one game. I forgot it was last Friday. I think they had lost. They would have won that game and moved up. I think he definitely would have been in the race. I had to see who he lost that game to, but yeah, he had that was he's been really good this year. You can't say that he hasn't been really good. Uh, and then next, it's more unlikely now, but Donovan Edwards from Michigan. I thought he was gonna be in the race because I feel, but Khalil Mullins, he's getting the same, if not equal amount of carries and getting way more yards. So it's like Donovan Edwards kind of eliminated himself out of one of my eyes. I felt like he had a chance going into the season, but he's just eliminated himself out the race. So it's kind of sad. But Khalil Mullins is really good. So Michigan, I like their running back room. I think they can still make. It's not surprising. They still might be able to make the playoffs, especially after that loss they took to Texas. But they still have a chance. Next, I'm gonna cover a little bit of MLB stuff. As the season is winding down, the playoffs start in October. It's almost the end of September now. The Chicago White Sox made history with the most losses in the modern era. They have a 40 and 121 record. Wow. The second most team, the second most losses in the league is I forgot who it is, but they have 59 or 60 wins. That's a 20 win difference basically. This team is historically bad. I don't know how your team is this bad to where you can only win 40 games in a season, and the team with the second least amount of wins is 19 to 20 games ahead of you. But what a terrible season for the White Sox. I know the players definitely aren't happy. I know management isn't happy, and the fans definitely aren't happy. That's such a disappointment of a season. You got Shohei Ohtani, who I talked about last week. He's gonna win. He should win MVP again. Yeah, had a historic year. Had the 50 for 50 with the home runs and stolen bases. That's just very impressive. I just have to mention that again, based off how historic his season was. And it seems like this year, even with Otani going to the Dodgers, it was a lot more parity in the league. As last year, you had three teams win 100 games or more. This year, it was only zero teams to accomplish that feat. So I won't say only zero. It was zero teams to accomplish that feat. So last year, you go from three teams, and getting 100 wins is very difficult. So the fact that three teams got it last year was very impressive. And but this year, no team was able to reach the 100 win mark, and even with a day left in the season, I think now, because the last day is Sunday. I'm recording this Saturday night. Nobody's gonna be able to. Nobody's at 99 wins. Nobody can reach 100 this year. So that's crazy. You go from a season with three teams win 100 games to the next season, only no team wins 100 games. Then even if you look at the teams that, then it was last year was 8 teams that won 90 or more games. This year it's only 7 that's gonna reach that feat. So that's still pretty close, but not as many teams won 100 games. So that's very interesting. And then you had the Braves, the Mets, and D-backs all fighting for the two spots in the National League in the playoffs. Wonder how that's going. But I had to see. But I think we had two teams were at one team was at 88, two teams were at 87. They're all fighting for the final spot. I had to see, and yeah, I'll check it. I'll check it after I get done recording this. I don't feel like pausing again. But as you know, that's what we always do, athletes of the week. I didn't do any anybody for college football because I was at a wedding most of the day. I was at a wedding for 4 hours. So I only saw a few games, and I think Georgia has scored again. Yeah, I definitely got to wrap this up soon because this game is getting way too close. This game is getting way too interesting. But yeah, for the NFL, I had Josh Allen, who went 23 of 30, had 263 yards, 4 touchdowns, six rush, 6 carries, 44 yards, 7.3 average, 47 to 10 win over the Jaguars, as I mentioned earlier. Josh Allen was amazing. And his 4 touchdowns were all 4 different receivers. So that's just very impressive. So shout out to Josh Allen. What a game. What a game he had. For WWE, I went with Jay Uso. He defeated Braun Breaker to win his first ever singles title, winning the Intercontinental Championship. So I had to go with Jay Uso for this one, obviously. AEW, I went with Brian Danielson. The match with Nigel McGuinness was really good. That was, even though the Bucks match versus Osprey and Fletcher was the best match of the week, I said I went with Danielson because not only was the match he had great, but the closing segment he had with Moxley that was great as well. So that would help push him over the edge for me. And the interference and the Young Bucks match kind of hurt it. But yeah. Then for the WNBA, I went with Nafisa Collier. She averaged 40 points, 4 assists, 5.5 rebounds, 1.5 steal, no, 1.5 blocks, point 0.5 steals, shot 64% from the field, 62.5% from three, and 89.3% from the free throw line. Nafisa Collier had an absolutely amazing week, which links to a sweep. They won their first round matchup against who did they play again? Yeah, against the Phoenix Mercury. She had a really good week, and there's nobody that can do what the fact that she's such a good defender and is able to put up 80 points in 2 nights, that is historic. That's something unheard of. But that's it for this episode of the podcast. Make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment your thoughts below or anything that I talked about.